Okay. So, as Elisabetta has told you, I will speak about the Middle Kura Valley in Azerbaijan and the absolute chronology during the Chalcolithic and early Bronze Age. This will be through two sites. One is here, it is Mentesh Tepe, and the other right nearby the border with Georgia, it is Soyuq Bulaq. Soyuq Bulaq is a cemetery of Kurgans, while Mentesh Tepe is a settlement. The mound had been totally destroyed in the 80s and only a few sherds were left on the surface. But a small sounding made in 2007 had shown the presence of architecture under the surface. So excavations went on for 8 seasons in collaboration with Farhad Guliyev. 3 major periods have been identified, separated by gaps. The Neolithic, which dates back to the first half of the 6th millennium, Chalcolithic during the 5th millennium, and early Bronze Age from the second half of the 4th to the second half of the 3rd millennium. We will deal here only with the Chalcolithic and early Bronze Age. All the material that I will show has been already published and is available to all. So the Chalcolithic period. Oops, sorry. At Mentesh Tepe, again, I recall where it is represented by 2 different successive occupations. The earliest one you have here on the slide did not give evidence of hard architecture, but only of post holes, these big post holes here. Below you have the Neolithic architecture, and this is the later Chalcolithic period. We also have pits related with these post holes. It is considered as an occupation of semi-mobile groups, and radiocarbon dates put it between 4,800 and 4,400 BC. It gave some very specific material, like these so-called mangals. Here again, with these holes under the rim, or these pans, which are very flat pottery. Notice the fingerprint here. And these are the radiocarbon dates we have for this period. The latest Chalcolithic period, Mentesh period 3, gave a freestanding rectangular architecture, though the building has not been excavated fully. It is made of mud bricks with several phases of occupation and rebuildings. Here we are back to what we showed earlier, but we are in the level related with these walls. We have several phases of occupations and rebuildings. Like, for instance, here, you see 2 walls here, one with the other. Here again, you see that this wall is covering earlier pits and jars. A very large amount of material was recovered, and for part of it is in clear continuation with the earlier period, like these mangals. But here you see they are all combed on the outside. But this one, you still have pans, but now they have also this comb design on, and instead of the fingerprint. You will have cookingware with the applied ornament, which is a reminiscence of the Neolithic period. Here again, all these applied pellets along the rims or around the colors are reminiscent of the Neolithic period. But we have novelties like these so-called sioni ware, which is a kitchenware, always with these rims with decorations. And we have painted ware and irons. 32 radiocarbon dates put this period within the last third of the 5th millennium. So this was period 2, the one with the post holes, and this is the one with the rectangular architecture. Except for the one above, which is slightly later, they are all very much before the end of the 5th millennium. Oops. And only the one that I showed you earlier is at the turn of the 4th millennium. Before working at Mentesh, I had been looking for sites related with the Leila Tepe culture during the first half of the 4th millennium. This had led me to investigate several kurgans in the Soyuq Bulaq cemetery, newly discovered during the BTC pipeline construction. And I worked there in collaboration with Tufan Akhundov. One kurgan was rather rich in material, and another also had some interesting material. Radiocarbon dates place kurgan 1 with these dates at the very early, in the very early part of the 4th millennium. And this is again kurgan 1 section. And this is part of the material that was discovered there. Gold, lapis, carnelian, etc., and a copper dagger. This comes from the other kurgan. This is still from kurgan 1. And this is still from kurgan 1. This with a very typical northern Mesopotamian-like pottery mark. The radiocarbon dates put kurgan 1, as I said, very early, and kurgan 4 a little later. So the early Bronze Age was only found at Mentesh Tepe and is considered as Mentesh period 4. But it is divided into 3 different phases. Phase 1 concerns this kurgan, which is a collective burial with at least 39 persons in it that was put on fire at the end of its use. Phase 2 is related to all these pits and individual graves. So most of them are separate, and it is very hard to know the exact relation of one with the other. Phase 3 is again related to a kurgan, this one here, which is considered, which had 3 individuals and a wooden 4-wheel cart. These phases more or less succeed one another. And this will answer one of the questions that Elisabetta has asked this morning. So 4 radiocarbon dates here place phase 1 within a very large interval, as you can see here, from 3,620 to 2,900. And this raises a lot of questions, and I'm ready to answer yours later on. Then we have dates actually we have 5 dates, as you will see later on, put phase 2 between 2872 and 2460. And 5 other dates here put phase 3 between 2831, so there is an overlap, and 2299. The earlier date that we have for this comes actually from a bulk found in the Kurgan, and it could be wood reuse, all the wood reuse, because all the other 4 dates that were done on the bones of the 3 individuals and on charcoal from the roof of the chamber are all centered between 2575 and 2300. In each of these structures, phase 1, 2, and 3, the material that was recovered is different. So these are the exact dates, but we don't have really time to look at them very clearly. So this was period 1. This is period 2. And this is period 3. And this is the bulk I told you could be all the wood reused for this upper chamber. So this is why you have some kind of overlap. So from phase 1, this is a view of what it looked like with the bones all mixed up of the people. And in blue, you have all the pottery that was found. So these are some views of this kurgan. And as you see, it was burned. Here you had the opening of the dromos, which was here. And you can see here the poles that were used to build the kurgan. And from where we had some charcoal that was analyzed, and that gave a very early date, around 3600, 500. These are the bones. These are the pots of Kurgan 1. But Kurgan 4, but the first Kurgan, I'm sorry. Again, and some of these bones probably used either as buttons, as we thought, but maybe according to a later work done recently, could be something dealing with textile or something like that. And a few beads. So phase 2, as I said, we had some individual burials. So here is one, and under the body of this guy, we had this pottery, which is already very different from the one we had in the kurgan. And this is another of these burials. This one is a secondary inhumation, and here you have the C14 dates. And this is the kind of pottery that we have in all these different pits. So it is different from the one we had in the kurgan. Sometimes we have cooking ware. So this is the kind of cooking ware we have for this period. Notice also this one with this kind of triangular lug, which is interesting for those working in Mesopotamia. And some of the cooking ware has this wet appearance on the lower part of the body. So Kurgan 4, this is a view before we totally excavated. You still have the stones covering. Here is the wooden floor covering it. Here, the wooden floor covering it. And here on the top of these wood, under the stones, we had scattered bones from human individual number 1. This means that he had been taken out from the inside of the chamber. Here you have the pole that was holding the roof with the pit dug into virgin soil. Here you have the 2 other individuals, women. Here is what is left of the cartwheel. And here you have some of the pots still in situ. This one is a typical marked copy goblets. Here is some of the silver items that was with one of the women. And with the women also we had this kind of jewelry. As you notice, they were all done with real bronze. And you had some of these carnelian and some of these steatite pearls. These items were all connected, and this conus shell too, were all connected with individual number 1, the one that had been pulled out of the chamber. And here is the pottery after restoration. So as you see, really the pottery is different from one phase to the other. Here are some of the dates. Sorry. These are some of the dates of a few other bones that were found at the very top layer of this last kurgan. The anthropologists had figured out that they were coming from 2 different individuals, but individuals different from the 3 that were from within the kurgan. One was a child, the other was an adult, and C14 analyses were done on their bones and gave very different dates. So one, the child was buried after the kurgan had been done, quite, 1 or 2 centuries after. So here between 2332 and 2062 BC, but the adult was it was a very late burial since it dates to the early Iron Age. But of course, this was on the top of this mound that had been totally erased. So we have no context neither for the child nor for the adult. Thank you very much.